Dear friends, God is inviting us to follow Him, to walk the path He is walking. His way may not look like what we imagined, and it will often differ from the way of the world. Some days are heavy with pressure and challenges. Maybe you have felt like giving up, setting God aside for a moment, but He hasn't given up on you. He keeps calling you to walk with Him, to walk in His strength. That is why, today, we offer this prayer with a firm confession of faith. Today, walk in God's strength, an uplifting morning prayer. Now let us enter into prayer together. And before we begin, if this is your first time here, please remember to subscribe so you never miss a new prayer. Today, let this be your prayer. You choose to walk in God's strength, not your own. You bring your tired thoughts, your hurried heartbeat, your quiet hopes, and you place them where they belong, in His steady hands. You do not have to pretend to be unbreakable. You only need to be honest. God knows the weight you carry and the roads that ask too much. He also knows how to lift what you cannot. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. Let those words settle like first light across the water of your mind. Let courage rise softly, not as a shout, but as a steadying breath. You are not walking into this day alone. Even the silences are held. Where you feel small, grace is wide. Where the path feels narrow, grace is a door. As you breathe, let your soul agree. I walk in your strength today, not in the strength of yesterday's success or today's adrenaline, but in the quiet power that raised hope from tombs and turned endings into beginnings. God is near, closer than the pulse in your wrist, faithful as the sunrise you did not have to ask for. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. If weakness is what you have, then you are already in the place where His strength loves to work. You can yield your heart now, the guarded rooms, the closed doors, the words you avoid. Lay down the old arguments you keep revisiting and the stories that write you smaller than God does. Let Him name you brave where fear has been loud. Let Him call you beloved where shame has been persistent. Let Him speak purpose over the pieces that still feel unfinished. When He leads, even detours become directions. When He holds you, even the valley becomes a chapel. When He goes before you, even ordinary streets become holy ground. Offer your mind into His keeping. Ask for the purity that simplifies your thoughts and clears the fog of overthinking. Where anxiety rehearses worst-case scenes, invite Him to edit the script. Where cynicism has been your shield, allow trust to be your new defense. Let wisdom guide how you speak, what you see, what you choose to carry. May today's decisions be shaped by heaven's perspective, not by pressure or comparison or the clock that keeps hurrying you along. Entrust your plans. Place them one by one into His timeline. The meeting that matters, the conversation you are avoiding, the task that looks bigger than your capacity. If doors open, walk through with humility. If doors close, stand still with peace. Not every no is against you. Sometimes it is God's way of guiding you toward the right yes. Your calling is not fragile. Your future is not at the mercy of moods or markets. It is held by the One who writes seasons and keeps promises. Let your family be cared for in His presence. Speak their names in your heart and cover them with blessing. Where there has been distance, ask for reconciliation that is patient and kind. Where there has been weariness, ask for rest that restores laughter. Where there has been worry, trade it for the assurance that God is more faithful than any fear you hold. And if you feel alone in what you carry, remember, heaven is not indifferent. Angels do not sleep on your case. Your prayers do not expire. Place your work and your finances in His hands, not just the numbers, but the meaning behind them, the dignity of your effort, the honesty you bring, the influence you wish to have. May God enlarge what needs to grow and prune what needs to go. May integrity be your profit and contentment be your surplus. May generosity turn resources into rivers, so what passes through you refreshes others and never leaves you empty. Offer your body and your health. Bless the parts that ache, the energy that fluctuates, the limits that humble you. Ask for healing in the way God knows you need it, sometimes in recovery, sometimes in resilience, always in His presence. Let gratitude return to your breath, to your senses, to your small, ordinary moments. Warm light on the floor, clean water, someone's voice, a quiet corner. The simple things are not small. They are sacraments in plain clothes. Surrender your past without replaying what mercy has already resolved. What needs forgiving, forgive. What needs letting go, release. What needs learning, keep as wisdom, but not as a wound. God does not shame you into growth. He shepherds you into it. And as for your future, hand it back to the one who sees around corners. You do not need to map every turn. You need only keep step with the one whose footsteps break the darkness before you arrive. If fear approaches, let it meet this confession. Today, you walk in God's strength. If discouragement whispers, let it hear your answer. Hope is not a feeling I wait for. It is a person I walk with. If loneliness knocks, let it find you already accompanied. If fatigue weighs you down, remember that grace is not a demand, it is supply. I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. Not all things at once, not all things without rest, but all things He actually calls you to, and that is enough. Now bless the people you will meet. Bless the ones who will be kind, and the ones who will be difficult. Bless the ones who will misunderstand you, and the ones who will surprise you with goodness. May your presence carry peace into rooms that do not have it yet. May your words become shelter for those who stand in the weather. May your eyes notice the overlooked, your hands steady the trembling, your smile open a small window to the love of God. Speak life over your day, over deadlines and detours, over commutes and conversations, over meals and messages. Let your inner voice agree with what heaven is saying. You are steady because He steadies you. You are brave because He is with you. You are generous because He has been generous to you. If correction comes, receive it as protection. If opportunity comes, receive it as stewardship. If silence comes, receive it as an altar. And when evening returns, may you look back and see footprints that were not only yours. May the difficult moment become a testimony, the quiet kindness become a seed, the resisted temptation become a victory, the unreturned favor become a prayer. May God keep you from hurry that erodes love, from noise that drowns wisdom, from pride that blocks grace. May He fill your hours with the kind of strength that is gentle and the kind of courage that is kind. So step forward, not to prove yourself, but to trust the one who already knows you. Step forward with your soul at rest and your will yielded. Step forward believing that every place your foot lands can become a place of blessing. Today, you walk in God's strength, and that will be enough. Mourning has a way of testing what you truly believe about strength. not the kind that clenches its jaw and pushes through at any cost, but the kind that lets you breathe, lets you be human, and still moves you forward. You can carry both truth and tenderness into this day. You can be resolved without being rigid, soft without being swept away. God's strength in you is not a storm that destroys. It is a river that nourishes. Let it run through your thinking, your pacing, your choices. Let it turn hurry into holy intention and pressure into purposeful presence. Some days the map folds itself into corners you cannot read. When routes change without notice, you do not have to panic. You can pause, listen, and remember who holds the compass. You have permission to take the next faithful step rather than the next dramatic leap. Faithfulness looks ordinary on the outside. Answering an email kindly, telling the truth when a shortcut tempts, taking a break before bitterness sets in. But heaven recognizes it as courage. Today, take the smaller step that keeps your heart clean, because clean hearts travel farther. There is a dignity in the way you choose peace when arguments beg to be won. You could spend energy proving a point, or you could spend it protecting connection. God's strength does not need a spotlight. It shines just fine in quiet rooms. When you are misunderstood, breathe grace before you explain yourself. When you are overlooked, do not edit your worth to fit someone else's page. You are held by a love that does not fluctuate with opinions, promotions, or passing trends. Stand there where love is steady and let your reactions be rewritten by that steadiness. Every hallway you will walk today carries echoes, old moments, old words, old fears. You do not have to chase those echoes or argue with them. Let them pass like footsteps down a corridor while you keep moving toward the room where God is waiting. Strength looks like choosing your environment on purpose. Music that calms, words that lift, pauses that reset, prayers that keep the door open. Curate your inner space the way you would prepare a guest room. God lives there. Make it welcoming. If a wave of fatigue finds you at noon, do not call it failure. Call it a signal and answer with kindness. Rest is not a luxury item reserved for weekends. It is part of wisdom's toolkit. You are not a machine in God's eyes. You are a beloved soul with breath and limits. In those limits, His strength sits down beside you like a friend and says, "Let us keep going, gently. Take water. Step outside for a minute if you can. Look up at something bigger than a screen. Remind your nervous system that you are safe in the One who holds all things together." There will be doors today that look locked because of how tightly fear holds the handle. Try the key of truth anyway. You belong where God sends you. You are equipped for what He actually assigns, not for what your imagination fears. You do not need to become louder to be listened to. You need to become clearer. Clarity grows in quiet. Quiet grows in trust. Trust grows when you remember how many mornings you thought you could not do it, and then did, by grace. Sometimes strength is the courage to start again after a small derailment. You were kind and then you snapped. You were focused and then you scrolled away an hour. You were grateful and then you compared. Do not hold yourself hostage to one moment. Bring it into the light. Tell the truth and pivot. The day is not ruined. The chapter is not closed. God is a better editor than your inner critic. He cuts what harms and keeps what helps. Let Him revise you in real time. There is work only your hands can do today. Because of your story, your voice, your particular way of noticing. Pay attention to the nudge that says reach out, to the thought that says say thank you, to the face that lingers a second longer as if asking for permission to be seen. Ministry does not always announce itself as ministry. Sometimes it looks like remembering a name, cleaning up after yourself, answering with patience on the third repetition. When you do these small things in God's strength, they stop being small. They become seeds. You may encounter a crossroads where both options look good. Do not be paralyzed by the fear of missing the singular perfect path. God is not a fragile GPS that recalculates angrily. If your heart is surrendered, goodness will follow you into either choice, and mercy will find you if you need to turn around. Pick the road that aligns with peace, integrity, and service. Walk it with humility. Keep your ear tuned for course corrections. That is not indecision, that is discipleship. When memories surface that once bruised you, handle them as artifacts, not as identities. You can study them for wisdom without wearing them as name tags. Bless the former version of yourself who survived with the tools they had. Then thank God for the new tools He is giving you. Patience that lasts longer, courage that does not need applause, discernment that chooses depth over drama. Growth rarely shouts. It's the quiet way a room feels cleaner after someone opens a window. If you find yourself in a conversation that heats faster than you expected, lower the flame. Ask one honest question. Listen for the pain beneath the position. Offer a sentence that holds dignity for both sides. This is the kind of strength that changes rooms. The refusal to dehumanize someone God loves. You can be firm without being sharp, clear without being cruel. Let your boundaries be fences with gates, not walls without doors. Carry your creativity with reverence today. Ideas are gifts and responsibilities, sparks and seeds. Treat them as stewards do. Capture them, test them, share them at the right time with the right people. Do not bury them under perfectionism. Plant one, water one, prune one. God's strength in you is not only for surviving, it is for building, composing, healing, designing, solving. Let your work become a prayer that others can use, even if they never learn your name. As the afternoon shadows lengthen, allow gratitude to lengthen with them. Name 3 mercies out loud, even if they are small, especially if they are small. Gratitude widens your inner space, so His strength has room to move. It changes how your eyes see and how your shoulders rest. It makes you a better receiver, so you can be a truer giver. And when evening finally arrives, let your review be gentle. Celebrate the places you chose, love over hurry. Hand over the moments you wish you could redo. Ask for deep sleep and for tomorrow's page to open with fresh ink. You have not been asked to impress God. You have been invited to walk with Him. That is a difference between exhaustion and endurance, between anxiety and anticipation. So step into the next hour with a steady soul. Wear kindness like a coat. Keep your yes honest and your no clear. Keep your prayers simple and your hope stubborn. And when you catch yourself reaching for your own strength again, do not scold yourself. Shift your weight back into His. There is a future being woven while you keep faith with the very next thing. You do not need to see the whole tapestry to trust the weaver. Thread by thread, He is integrating your pain with purpose, your limits with love, your efforts with outcomes you may never witness firsthand. Walk on, walk light, walk true. Today is not asking you to be invincible. It is asking you to be aligned. In that alignment, Heart yielded, mind clear, steps small and steady, you will discover it again and again. You are not carrying God, God is carrying you, and that is why you will make it through this day with grace to spare. Let this hour become a quiet turning of the soul. You do not have to rush your heart to catch up with your schedule. Let it arrive, let it breathe, let it remember the one who already stands inside your moments waiting to steady you. Strength is not something you manufacture by sheer will. It is someone you walk with. You are learning the rhythm, receive, then move, listen, then speak, anchor, then act. When you move from that center, even ordinary tasks begin to feel like answered prayer in motion. If a hidden ache follows you into this day, carry it like a candle rather than a secret. Hold it where God's warmth can reach it. Pain that is brought into His presence loses its power to isolate you. In that light, you will notice the difference between wounds that need time and narratives that need truth. God is gentle with both. He does not despise what still hurts. He draws near to it until hope takes root. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. Isaiah 41:1-10. Let those words stand guard at the doorway of your thoughts. There are names on your heart that deserve a blessing today. Speak it now, even if only in a whisper. May reconciliation grow where conversations failed, and may kindness become the common language where misunderstanding has multiplied. Where you cannot fix what is broken, you can still refuse to break it further. This is the quiet bravery of love, doing the faithful thing even when feelings lag behind. Trust God to work in what you cannot see. He has never needed your worry to finish His miracles. Bring your calling back into focus, not as a headline, but as a habit. You were not placed here to impress, but to serve with the grace you have received. Let your competence be held by humility, your ambition braided with integrity, your creativity surrendered to wisdom. When you feel the pull to prove yourself, step back into purpose. Ask, who is helped by what I'm about to do? Then do that thing with a clean heart. Heaven measures success by faithfulness, by the way you love, the way you keep showing up, the way your yes means yes. If weariness sits on your shoulders like a heavy coat, exchange it for peace that actually fits. Jesus did not leave you a fragile calm that shatters at the first loud noise. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. John 14:27. Let that peace become the atmosphere you carry into rooms where people hold their breath without realizing it. Let it slow your replies, soften your tone, and remind your body that safety is not the absence of problems, but the presence of God. Your thoughts deserve shepherding. Not every idea gets to lead you. Not every fear earns a vote. Choose what you ruminate on with the same care you choose what you eat. When a lie tries on your voice, answer it with a better sentence. When a memory knocks to accuse, invite grace to answer the door. When future tripping tries to move you into tomorrow without permission, return to the current square of light where your feet actually stand. God meets you in real time. This minute is enough for mercy to work with. Let holiness become delight again. Not a checklist to fear, but a way of being that keeps you light and free. Tell the truth when it will be easier to be vague. Keep confidences as if they were heirlooms. Honor promises the world forgot how to make. Forgive quickly, not because offense is small, but because your freedom is precious. When temptation presents a shortcut, remember how long detours back to yourself can be. Choose the road that keeps your soul intact. There may be a moment today when someone else's burden tries to become your bitterness. Refuse the exchange. Carry what you can. Pray for what you cannot, and let Jesus be the Savior you are not. Compassion does not require collapse. You can be present without absorbing, helpful without disappearing. Draw from the well that does not run dry, and you will find that love multiplies without draining you. Stay teachable. The correction that stings could be the protection that saves you hours of regret. The feedback that disrupts your pride could be the very thing that refines your gift. You do not lose dignity by learning, you gain durability. Ask for the grace to be easily led by God, quick to notice, quick to adjust, quick to try again without the drama of self-condemnation. Heaven is not tallying your missteps, it is cheering your returns. When loneliness walks beside you, do not assume you took a wrong turn. Some paths are intentionally quiet so you can hear the holy whisper. Talk to God as you would to the friend who knows what you mean before you finish saying it. Let the silence become shared, not empty. In that communion, you will discover again that you are accompanied in ways deeper than sight. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble, Psalm 46:1. Very present, here now in the place your feet occupy. Steward your body with kindness that looks like wisdom. Eat for energy, not for escape. Move for joy, not for punishment. Rest before you are forced to. Thank your lungs for working, your heart for keeping time, your senses for delivering the world to you. Bless the parts that protest and the parts that heal without fanfare. Ask for protection over your going out and your coming in, and for discernment about what you expose your mind and spirit to in the name of entertainment. What you behold, you begin to become. As the day unfolds, practice the small sacrament of attention. Notice the honest effort of a coworker, the patience of the cashier, the sky doing something kind with a light. Let gratitude be specific, not generic, and watch how it changes the temperature of your inner life. Gratitude does not deny what is hard. It refuses to surrender the narrative to it. In gratitude, you recover sight, the ability to see God moving in textures and timings you would have missed at high speed. If conflict finds you, choose words that leave doors open. If opportunity finds you, ask whether you want the work or just the applause. If disappointment finds you, refuse to assign it the last word. What feels like delay may be alignment. What looks like loss may be preparation. Trust that the author of your story is incapable of sloppy editing. He is arranging threads you cannot yet name into a design you will one day bless him for. And when evening comes, let your review be a benediction rather than a trial. Where you were brave, give thanks. Where you were carried, give glory. Where you stumbled, give it back and sleep free. No day is wasted that is handed to God. No effort is small when love is the motive. No prayer is unheard simply because it was quiet. You have walked in a strength not your own, and that is the miracle that keeps repeating. So you can lie down unafraid. The same God who kept you standing will keep you resting. The same grace that filled your morning will greet your night. Tomorrow does not require you to be more impressive. It invites you to be just as surrendered. For now, it is enough to say thank you and to trust that even in the dark, the path is held. Picture this moment as a hush before the orchestra begins. The lights dim, the page is turned, and your soul lifts the baton. You do not have to know every measure ahead. You only need to trust the composer who already wrote the melody for today. Let your breathing fall into tempo. Let your attention settle like snow on a quiet street. God's nearness is not a rumor. It is the steady warmth you sense when you stop running inside. Strength is not a shout here. It is a presence that takes your trembling hand and says, "We begin." You are allowed to bring the unpolished parts, the sentence you could not finish, the apology you owe, the dream that feels too delicate to say out loud. Place them all where God's kindness can handle them. In that gentleness, you will find your footing again. Where you feared a lecture, you discover a lantern. Where you expected a verdict, you receive a path. This is the way holy courage often looks, thinner than bravado, thicker than denial, quiet as water doing patient work in stone. Let your inner room open its windows. Thoughts need light, not confinement. Invite God into the places where you edit yourself down. He does His best art with what you almost hide. If comparison tries to shrink you, remember that God does not recycle identities. Your assignment is not to be impressive in every direction. It is to be faithful in yours. When you choose the work only your voice can carry, heaven does not measure volume, it measures truth. Somewhere today, a threshold will wait for your step. It might look ordinary, a door at the end of a hallway, a phone call you keep postponing, the inbox that feels like a tide. You do not need to conquer it. You only need to cross it with a right spirit. Ask for the grace to arrive clean, motives rinsed of grudges, words softened by mercy, focus guarded from noise that steals wonder. When your posture is yielded, your presence becomes a benediction long before you speak. Think of your relationship as gardens entrusted to your care. Not every plot needs the same tools. Some require pruning, truth told kindly, excess cut back so fruit can grow. Some require watering, attention that lingers, listening that does not check the time, laughter that returns the air to a room. Some require rest, boundaries that allow the soil to heal. You are not failing when you practice any of these. You are learning the season of each person and the wisdom to love accordingly. Let peace be the weather you bring, and watch how even difficult ground begins to green. When dread knocks with its familiar script, answer with a better memory. Remember the night you thought would undo you and the morning that still came. Remember the bill that scared you and the provision that surprised you. Remember the diagnosis that bent your knees and the resilience that stood you back up. Testimony is a kind of compass. It points your heart toward the God who has behaved like Himself every single time. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and He will make straight your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. Let that sentence be a handrail when the stairs feel steep. Let your craft, whatever you make or manage, become prayer in action. Wipe the surface and call it reverence. Write the line and call it service. Solve the problem and call it love in a language someone else understands. You are not merely passing hours, you are shaping them. Ask for wisdom that chooses depth over drama, patience over pressure, accuracy over approval. Excellence without ego is a quiet lighthouse. People find their way by it and never know who kept the lamp. Should weariness settle over your shoulders like late afternoon shadow, do not mistake it for failure. Respond with kindness that restores rhythm, 5 slow breaths, a glass of water, a sentence of gratitude named aloud. Tiny obediences recalibrate more than you think. You are training your soul to find God between tasks, not only after them. The sacred is not hiding. It is threaded through keys and kitchen sinks and crosswalks, waiting for your notice to become praise. If a sharp word escapes you, repair it quickly. Maturity is not the absence of missteps. It is the speed of your returns. Be the first to mend what you can and the last to keep score. What you release stops owning you. What you bless stops wounding you. Forgiveness is not memory loss. It is choosing a future where love remains possible. And when your own heart needs the same mercy, give it as freely as you hope to receive it. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Rest is not a pause from holiness. It is part of it. Carry a small silence with you, the way sailors carry a star. Chart. Before you answer, visit that silence. Before you decide, stand beneath it. In that stillness, you will notice which options make your spirit smaller and which widen it. Choose the path that enlarges love, even if it is slower, even if it is unseen by those who measure worth in hurried ways. God's timelines are not tardy. They are tuned to outcomes that hold. Let beauty tutor your hope. A shaft of light across a floorboard's grain, steam curling from a cup, the sound of someone humming without realizing. These are not distractions. They are sacraments dressed in ordinary clothes. Receive them and your soul remembers its native language. Gratitude rises. Anxiety loses a little ground. The day becomes less like a test and more like a conversation you are willing to stay for. If you meet resistance, ask whether it is the kind that protects you or the kind that provokes growth. Move through the second with grace and around the first with wisdom. You are not called to break every wall. Sometimes you're called to build a gate. You are not required to win every argument. Sometimes you are invited to win back your peace. Being led by God will feel like clarity more often than conquest, like consent more than coercion. Consider your future the way a sailor considers the horizon, not as a demand to rush toward, but as a faithful line that will meet you as you keep sailing today's water well. Plan with open hands, steward with open eyes, and anchor with an open heart. The one who called you has not miscalculated the distance between here and there. He multiplies the small when it is surrendered, and he dignifies the slow when it is faithful. What looks like little in your palm looks like plenty in his. And when night leans over the city and windows turn to squares of gold, let your review be simple and honest. Where you aligned with God's strength, give thanks. Where you drifted to your own, return without drama. Trade the noise you did not need for the quiet you still can have. Lay your head down like someone expected to be kept, because you are. The same presence that steadied your morning will keep guard over your sleep. So go on with a soul that is light enough to love and strong enough to stay tender. Let your pace be human and your hope stubborn. Let your yes be clean and your no be kind. Walk through this day like someone accompanied, which you are, and let your life hum the tune the composer gave you at dawn. By the time the stars take their places, you will have proof again. Grace carried you, courage shaped you, and God's strength did the heavy lifting you could not. Amen. Let this be the last word your heart carries into the day. You do not walk alone, and you do not walk in your own power. You are accompanied, upheld, and quietly renewed. May the peace that steadies you in this moment linger through every task, soften every conversation, and meet you again when evening comes. Breathe easy. Grace goes before you, beside you, and behind you. And if you forget for a while, simply return. Strength will meet you where you are. If this prayer has lifted you, I'd love for you to stay connected. Subscribe so you will not miss the next prayer, and share this with someone who needs a gentle reminder of God's nearness. You can also drop a simple comment, "I walk in His strength today," as your declaration of faith. Until we gather again for prayer, be blessed and kept. May your steps be light, your courage kind, and your hope persistent. See you in the next video. Amen.